All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone for coming down here to San Francisco Running Company. Just a couple of thank yous. First to Brett Rivers and all of San Francisco Running Company for hosting us this morning. If you don't have any San Francisco Running Company swag, either a hat, visor, or shirt, I strongly recommend all of you make sure you leave today with some San Francisco Running Company product. It's they're bringing a lot of energy to the running community, to the trail running community, the ultra running community here in San Francisco. It's great to have them. Breakfast has been served by MH Bread and Butter. So Devin and Nathan Yanko are just master bakers and crafts people of food, and hope you guys are enjoying that. And also, I wanted to just make some introductions. Make sure you know who's here today with us. We've got a number of people from the Western States 100, both board of directors and our race director, Craig Thornley, who's here with us this morning. So Craig, maybe just put your hand up if you don't know Craig. Right on. There was a big lottery yesterday. We'll talk a little bit about that. There are some other ways into Western States that we'll talk about today. Also, we have Katrine and Michelle Poletti, the race directors for the UTMB, the Ultra Trail World Tour, Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc. And also, there's a lot of incredible running talent in this room. That's every time I see this collection of runners together, I'm blown away. And congratulations to all of you who ran yesterday, raced yesterday, finished yesterday, or put your best effort forward yesterday. It was absolutely impressive display of running endurance. And so with that, I thought I'd just kick off about a half-hour presentation about the Ultra Trail World Tour, and talk a little bit about what function I'm serving at the moment for the tour. I am not a part of the organization. I am an ambassador of the concept, and I'm here more than anything today to communicate the values of this tour as it kicks off in its first year, 2014, and do my best to answer as many questions, in particular for those elite athletes in the room, answer some questions around access and entry and support into these great series of races. I may not have all the answers today, but we want to make sure we capture all of the questions and walk through the concept of the tour. I'm just going to run a quick 1-minute video to just give you a little bit of a taster or teaser of the series, and then we'll jump right into a presentation and go from there. All right, a little taster for you. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is, okay, excellent. There's a little bit of, watch that, there we go. What I want to talk a little bit about today is the concept of the Ultra Trail World Tour. And you know, we are in a fast-growing part of the running community. Running is seeing some of its fastest growth in the last several years, and trail running in particular is incredibly quick growing around the world. We've seen a proliferation of races around the world, in particular trail running races. So I want to talk a little bit about that, but it's an exciting time to be in running, in the sport of running, in the sport of trail running, in the sport of ultra running. So what I wanted to walk through is just 5 simple concepts today. The concept of the Ultra Trail World Tour, the spirit of this tour concept, specifically what are the races in the tour, and then how the tour is appealing to every runner that participates. And then I'll spend a fair amount of time on the ranking system, so physically how the ranking system works, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions we can around the assistance for runners as well. And you know, if I look at trail running today, and ultra running in particular, there are some challenges. I mean, one of the challenges is just the fact that trail running is growing so rapidly. You know, here just in the US alone, I think there's over 119 different 100-mile races in 2014. So that would mean as runners, if you just wanted to run a 100-mile race, you could choose from one every single day of every weekend of the entire year. And so that becomes challenging, determining what races are the right ones to go to, and what races are going to provide the type of experience for a runner that allows you to find your best potential. So there's many races to choose from around the world, and a lot of the races have different values and a different quality experience for the runners. So some of these races, whether it's a 50K up to a 100-miler, are purely for competition purposes only. Some are poorly organized. You know, they might have poor logistics. They might send people the wrong way, poor trail markings, aid stations that are ill-equipped, start-finish areas and amenities that aren't really there to enhance the runner's experience. We've seen some races, trail races in the US, that aren't maintaining the type of ethics, environmental ethics. You know, there's how many trail races that I've been to more often now that have trash and garbage and not proper sweep protocols, and some don't have proper medical support in many cases. You know, there are incredible demands on 50K to 100-mile distances, and that's important. Some don't respect the runners in terms of driving them out in unsafe conditions, or conditions that really make the running experience dangerous. And you know, some events don't work hand in hand with the communities of the communities that they're centered in, and so that can make basically a wide disparity of different trail running races out there. And for elite runners, there's a lot of elite runners here today. You know, the sport is growing, but it's still very small, and it's limited for elite runners. I mean, you guys are some of the best runners in the world, and you're putting a tremendous amount of personal time and effort and energy into the sport, but there's still very limited direct funding from brands as a whole compared to other major sports. There's very limited direct funding from events, and because of that, it makes it very challenging to pursue the races you want to go to and earn a living the way you'd like to earn a living. And so many times elite athletes build their running schedule based on what they can afford to run versus what they desire to run. What do I mean by that? I mean, you know, a lot of your racing schedules are dictated or predicated by what you financially can afford to go run, or perhaps what some of your sponsors will help contribute to running. Many times, that's funded through travel budgets, through direct sponsorship budget, and a lot of times what you are racing is largely influenced perhaps by your race sponsors. And so there's financial barriers for elite athletes to race and participate in the schedule they desire to participate in, particularly for international events. I mean, for those of you guys who've traveled from a long distance, you know it's not inexpensive to go to another country and race in a long distance ultra race. So the best in the world, what I know and what I experienced when I come spend time with everyone in this room, and what I saw yesterday is the best in the world of ultra running have an incredibly strong desire to run with, alongside each other, and against each other, to find the potential inside of each one of you. And the diffusion of racing today is making that difficult. And that's one of the concepts of what the World Tour wants to offer. So racing's fragmented, and elites have a challenging time either gaining access into the right events, or they have a challenging time financially coming to key races around the world. So what's the concept of the World Tour, and what's the World Tour really trying to do? The World Tour has a strong desire to, it represents a group of world-class ultra running races that share common values for all runners, celebrating equally the final finisher and the first to cross the line. So if we look at, and we'll talk about the 10 races in the World Tour, every race in the World Tour celebrates that final finisher, whether it's a Western States 100 and that 30-hour finisher. They're celebrating that runner with equal energy and passion as Timmy Olsen crossing in 28? Might have that number slightly wrong, 14:36 or something. It's fast, right? Likewise, the UTMB, there is equal celebration for that first place finisher that finishes just around 20 hours to the final finisher at 46 hours. And that's important, that these races all represent every single runner. Each event believes in the potential of each participant, and each event shares a common desire to create an event that allows all runners to challenge themselves to discover their running potential. So you guys are doing that at the head of the course, but every runner all the way to that final finisher are doing the same. They're just doing it a little bit slower. Each event believes in providing a world-class racing and running experience with the best logistical support for the runners, the best medical assistance for the runners to ensure everyone's safety, clearly defined ethics and rules to ensure fairness and environmental excellence. So these are world-class events from a quality standpoint. Each event in the World Tour believes in sharing medical research, race logistics, operations and safety procedures and strategies to make ultra running events the highest quality they can. And they also have a desire to cross-promote and collaborate together in building these values on a global level. The tour represents the highest quality experience in the world for all participants. That's the desire for all the participants. From an elite standpoint, the World Tour events have a desire to help support elite runners participate in the best ultra running races in the world. And I'll talk a little bit about this. This is the first year, but they have a desire to help all of you participate in their events. As a starting point, all the tour events in the initial year will provide a elite athletes financial support to participate in these events and to help realize their potential in some of the largest, most competitive venues in the world. So that's the concept. If we talk about the spirit of the event, these are the 10 events. We'll talk about them a little later. They run basically throughout the year. First one starting in Hong Kong in January. There are a variety of events that are sponsored by different brands, and they are a variety of events that have an incredible diversity of environments, whether it's the deserts of Morocco, the mountains in the Alps, running across the Sierra Nevadas. You've got Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Asia, and a variety of different environments to test runners. There's different running formats, so not all of the races in the tour are of one distance. They range from 100K, so that has been one of the criteria that they are at least a 100K distance. But you've got different running formats. The Marathon des Sables, for example, is a multi-day stage race. And then you've got races like the Transvolcania. It's I think it's a 140K race. And so it will require different skills to succeed as a runner. All of the events share these common values I spoke of earlier. These common values of celebrating every runner with an equal level of enthusiasm, professionalism, and quality experience. The runner's experience sits at the center of the brand promise, center of the race promise. And what's cool about these events, and many of you have traveled around the world and tasted a few of these events, is just how global they are. And how there's an incredible sharing of ideas between different cultures and different running styles and different brands. And we've already seen in a very organic way incredible friendships that have developed around the world with some of the big races that have been going on. So. We believe that the World Tour can create lifelong friendships, incredible bonds between people. And we believe for the everyday ultra runner that over a period of several years, they can become a grand finisher of all of the events on the tour. So we kind of view this, or the World Tour views this as a multi-year kind of objective for many people around the world. So let's talk about the races. In terms of the current criteria of how a race is selected as a World Tour race, there's really 5 key elements. One is, right now the World Tour are events that are 100K or greater in distance. They ideally are, iconic venues in the world, or they represent an incredible historic reputation. They need to be races that are popular in terms of 400 runners or more. We'd like them to be events that have ideally a minimum of 20 countries represented, so very global events, and they need to be established. They need to have at least 2 years of pre-existing race editions to be considered. You can see just a quick map of where all the races are in 2014. And literally, you've got them all over the world, so a lot of different opportunities. This is the race schedule for 2014. So you've got literally races that run. Basically, the tour runs from January, kicking off with Hong Kong, and ends in October. And there will be 2 classifications of races in 2014. There will be series races, which will, from a ranking standpoint, have a higher point offering for runners. So it'll have a coefficient multiple that will provide a greater points level. And so there are 4 series races and 6 tour races. And we'll talk a little bit about the ranking later, but just understand there's 2 different types of events in 2014. In terms of the racers, we talked about this celebrating the concept of every finisher, from the last place or the final finisher to the first to cross the line. And so there's a concept with the World Tour that if you're traveling around the world, most people that travel around the world require a passport. And so this is a concept where each finisher of any World Tour event will be provided a passport, and after they complete each event, they get a type of visa that goes inside their passport. And it's a recognition that they've completed one of the races on the tour. It's something like all of us, you open up your passport and you're a world traveler. And so that's a bit of the concept that's available to all the runners that are participating in the World Tour. So in terms of, now I'll talk a little bit about what the World Tour desires in terms of helping elite athletes gain access to some of these events. And for 2014, the World Tour, and I'll talk a little bit, so please, I guess I would say, let me go through the presentation, because this is probably where a lot of questions will be coming. Let me go through the presentation. When I'm complete with that, maybe we'll open up for Q&A. But the World Tour will provide elite athletes a minimum of 50 plane tickets, a minimum of 120 hosting packages, those are accommodation packages, a minimum of 180 race entries. Some of those are simply guaranteed spots, which will still require payment by each of the athletes. That's on an event-by-event basis. And some race entries will be completely complimentary. So it's not the same with each event, but in all cases, all 180 race entries will be guaranteed, and there will be prize money. Prize money we'll talk a little bit about in a bit as well. So here's the most basic question: how are the athletes selected for support in the World Tour? And in 2014, it's going to be a combination of considerations that basically allocate those numbers I just shared with you. And there are a couple different tools that the World Tour organizers and the race organizers will use together to make the decisions on how they allocate that funding. One tool they'll be using is a tool developed by the International Trail Running Association, also known as ITRA. And ITRA is a relatively newly created organization that has been spending the last year or two putting into a very sophisticated ranking database 3,500 different races, trail races around the world. And they've used results from the past 3 years. So all of your results are into these systems, and they represent over 300,000 different runners. Okay, this system is in development. It's an imperfect system. It does not include every single race in the world, but it is a tool now that has been developed that helps provide a better understanding of relative ranking of elite athletes, not only elite athletes, but of all athletes in the world, and also a relative ranking of the competitiveness of different races around the world. And so that's simply one tool that the World Tour organizers are using. They can take that tool sort it by the top 100 men, for example, the top 50 women in the world over the past 3 years based on their ranking tool, and it can give them an understanding of the likely people that should be included in invitations for support. That will be, so that's one tool, the ranking tool, and we expect that tool over time with athlete feedback, with brand and team manager feedback, with race organizer feedback. This can develop into a very helpful tool that can serve all of us well. But I want to make it clear that's simply one tool that will be used to selecting where support will come from. The other tool is very on-the-ground, subjective conversations between the World Tour organizers and each event organizer or race director. It will also involve conversations with team managers of the brands to make sure that we're allocating the funding and the support as equitable as possible and with the greatest impact in supporting athletes. Okay, and so we'll be working with the athletes, with the race organizers, with the UTWT organizers, and the ranking tool is simply there to help it's just simply there to help the World Tour organizers give a relative understanding of the athletes that should receive some support. Okay, so the support is open to all elite runners who request support. So some of you perhaps may have been contacted by the World Tour organization. Some of you may have not. The World Tour does not have everyone's email address. So make sure if you guys have talked among yourselves, like, well, I got an email, well, I didn't get an email. I wonder, that must mean I'm not on the ranking or they don't think I'm good enough. Not the case, okay? Like I said, this is a system under development. And so I'm going to explain to you today how you can get yourself into the system. It's very simple. It's just one form you fill out and you send it back to the organization for consideration. Very simple. So this is, for example, a race form. I won't go into the details here, but it basically has the 10 events. It is asking each athlete to understand what type of assistance are they looking for in each event, whether it's an airline ticket, whether it's accommodations, whether it's a race entry, or whether it's simply a guaranteed race entry, okay? And what we're asking each athlete is to prioritize what events they're really looking for support. So I think the World Tour has received a few requests where an athlete just sent in, I want to be in all 10, and I want support for all 10. So obviously the support is going to be a little bit laid out as wide as it can. So just try to be specific when you do send this in. We'll give you the details where it sends to. But you want to get this to the World Tour organizers if you're looking for support. Just going to touch base real quick on the ranking system. The ranking system is been in collaboration or in partnership with the International Trail Running Association. And the actual point system runs very similar. Those of you guys in the US that are familiar with the Montreal Ultra Cup, it runs very similar to the Montreal Ultra Cup system. There's basically each winner gets 100 points for winning the race, and then the series races, the 4 series races, actually receive 150 points, so they have a coefficient of 1.5. And then there's also a bonus given to certain races in the tour that have a history of being more competitive. And all of that is explained on the website. I can answer those questions later, but for brevity, I'll just kind of keep moving. So here's the deal. I heard a lot of comments on blogs and forums around oh man, are these World Tour guys trying to kill ultra runners by having them run 10 races in a single year? Are they crazy? This is not respecting the athletes. Actually, here's the scoop. All you have to do is to be considered in the World Tour ranking is complete 2 races in the Tour. To be considered, every single runner, no matter what your place is, if you finish 2 races, you will be ranked in the World Tour for a given year. The winner will be based on a maximum of the 3 best results. And you've got to to be considered it will have a maximum of 2 series. So they'll take the best of 2 series results and 1 non-series results to calculate the winner for 2014. So common question I've heard is, well, one is, how is the World Tour being funded? And where's the money going?
That's really generous of you.
I thought it was such a cool idea, I'm funding it all myself. No.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah. I didn't consult with Kim. Here's a scoop. Like every ultra running event I've ever been a part of, it's starting at a grassroots level, guys. It may sound big, but it's starting at a grassroots level. In 2014, 100% of the tour is funded by these 10 organizations that share these common values for running, and a commitment to help make these events some of the greatest events in the world, some of the most competitive events in the world. So each one of the events, of the 10 events, have contributed to the World Tour. That's where 100% of the funding is coming in 2014. Now, we think the tour is a great concept, and we think it's just beginning. There's going to be some work done to really go out and provide and solicit sponsorship on a tour level. When we accomplish that, we believe that will be able to provide more funding to get more athletes to more events and provide a more robust support package for elites. But we wanted to get this going in the first year, and so the concept really here is to get it going. All the race organizers committed to getting it going by contributing directly to funding the World Tour out of their existing programs. And I think the most common question is, okay, that's where the money is coming from for the tour. So where is the money going, right? And here's where the money's going. It's going to 4 different areas, actually 3. One, it's going to fund elite runner travel support, flights, hotels, entry fees. Second is prize money. There is prize money in the event. I'll talk about what that is. And the third is to promote the World Tour itself. So create common media partners, collaborative press activities, and also provide a greater stage for elite athletes and worldwide press for elite athletes. And we think that can also help generate more sponsorship funding to the sport as a whole. So that's what the money is being focused on. The vast majority of that really going to travel support and prize money. And so the tour in its initial year does not attempt to be the definitive prize money or purse money event in the world. We know that by the prize money here. But we do believe that prize money is an important component. It's a component we'd like to grow over time. And this is what the tour will build in as its prize money for 2014. 100% of the prize money will be equal between men and women. So this would be the men's lineup for the tour rankings, and this would also be the women's lineup in entry fees, or rather prize money for the for the women. So I want to talk about what the tour is not, because there's been a lot of questions I've read kind of out on the internet about it. The tour is not the organizing body of ultra running. It's not. It doesn't have a desire to do that. It's not putting a stake in the ground saying that they're doing that. They're not attempting to organize the code by which all events operate. They're not attempting to be the definitive or highest cash prize tour in ultra running. It's not a tour designed solely for elite running, so elite running circuit focused only on competition of the best in the world of ultra running. And it's not creating the definitive ranking system in trail running in the world. But what is the World Tour? It's the first collaboration of exceptional quality ultra running events on a global basis. It's dedicated to providing an exceptional running experience for every runner from the final finisher to the first to cross the line. So there's very much shared values there. It's a group of races with a common goal of promoting the most important elements of ultra running, and that's progressing a runner's potential as a human being, providing exceptional logistical support to all runners, having strong ethical values for each runner, and they're also committed to supporting their communities, their environment, and supporting the competitors. And they're committed to supporting elite athletes' desire to run the most iconic races in the world. And they're committed to developing a long-term ranking system based on race difficulty, competitiveness, and individual performance. So what the International Trail Running Association has done is simply started a process. And they'll look for your feedback and your comments to make that system as effective for all of you and the race organizers as possible. Hold your comments, one more thought. We'll do Q&A just a little bit. I want to share with you a few additional comments on the Montreal Ultra Cup, and then I'll come back to this. So the Montreal Ultra Cup, I'm just going to toggle gears just very quickly for you. The Western States 100 is the one U.S. event in the World Tour in 2014. We had a lottery yesterday. I think we picked out a lottery about 270 people. I think there are another 30 to 50 in special consideration. Those are the top 10 men and women that are invited back, plus a few others. And that leaves about 10% of the Western States 100 race entries available for elite runners. 30 of those slots will be selected from the Montreal Ultra Cup, and 6 spots will be selected from the World Tour event. And so the Montreal Ultra Cup, so there's going to be 2 ways. If you're not in Western States already, but you have a desire to participate in Western States, this is another way to access or gain access into Western States. There are 5 events that allow you access into Western States if you're a top 3 finisher in men or in women. So 30 spots, Bandera, which is a 100K, Rocky Raccoon, which is a 100-miler. We wanted to give those 100-miler specialists the opportunity to gain access because that's their distance. And then we've got the Sean O'Brien 50-miler, the Lake Sonoma 50, the Ice Age 50. And again, the top 3 men and women will be provided a guaranteed race entry. That's not a comp entry, it's simply a guarantee and an offer to come race it. Okay. The point system runs exactly as it has, and the only other difference on the Montreal Ultra Cup that is important to understand, again, here it will be just 3 races in the Ultra Cup, Montreal Ultra Cup, that will be scored. So in the past it was every race. Now it will just be 3 races that will score for the ranking, and the races that are 50 miles or longer will be the ones that will be provided access to the Western States 100. Also different this year, if you're a 4th place finisher and one of the three in front of you are already in Western states, then you are a lucky number 4. So that's a new change we made this year. So with that, I'll go back to, before I go to the Q&A, I'll go to the Q&A now. So any questions on the World Tour concept? Yes, Craig.
Yeah, come back just for the state first.
Yep.
You said it's only 6 slots for outside of the US. Because if you are not in the US, you don't take part of the World Cup.
Yep.
So it's only 6 athletes outside of the US who can be part of the Western state. And this is not a lot considering the World Cup.
Yeah, it's so good question. So the question was, hey, the World Tour is providing 6 guaranteed entries into Western states. The additional 30 would be gained through coming and running one of the Montreal Ultra Cup events. So you're right in that all of the Montreal Ultra Cup events are in the US. So an international runner that's not in today that would want to join Western states in 2014 would have one of 2 options. They would either be selected through one of the 6 positions, or they, of course, they're welcome to come race one of the Montreal Ultra Cup races and go for a top 3 position. And this is a starting point, right? One thing the Western states, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but one thing Western states doesn't have the ability to do is increase the number of runners in the race for permitting requirements by the federal government, essentially. And so because of that, they also did not want to reduce the number of lottery positions in 2014. And so what they've done, and what we've done together, is we actually reduced the number of Montreal Ultra Cup events. We reduced it from a larger number to a smaller number, and that opened up or gave access to World Tour slots. So you're right, there's only 6. It's probably of the 10 events. I don't know the answer to this, but my guess is it's the one event that has the least number of World Tour positions available in 2014. That may shift in 2015, but that's where it is in 2014.
So will those 6 spots favor more international runners versus US runners?
Yes, they will.
I think that's probably more what he's looking for.
And also 6 athletes, it's not so much if you consider all the team around the world.
Yeah.
Even Ryan Sanders at the moment, who finished 2nd, is not sure to participate at the Western State in 2014.
So that's a good example, and that probably, that's everything that's a great question, and it would be a great consideration. I think one of the other questions related to that, we want to make sure we get on that form as quickly as possible who would like to participate in each event. So if we get the universe of all the people that are requesting to participate through the World Tour in Western states, as an example, the goal is to collect all that information. So if you're interested in any of the forms, send them in within the next 2 weeks. And the goal is to have a better understanding by early January about where the funding will go.
Wouldn't you need it before January? Because the Hong Kong race is like...
Yes, they'll make the Hong Kong decision earlier than that.
And then how do you get access to the form?
Access to the form on the World Tour website? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right here. This is probably the most important piece of information I'll give you guys all day. Marie Salmons is she is basically working on behalf of the World Tour. She is your key contact. You can email her. If you want to save some money and not dial an international number, you can Skype her. But all you need to do is just send her a note, and she'll send you the form, and you complete the form.
Okay.
Okay, Dakota?
Why is it 100K or longer races? Because some of my favorite races are much shorter than that.
Yeah,
Why does it even have to be an ultra? Like a race like Sierras and All in Switzerland, there's lots of races like that. Like I feel embody the spirit of mountain racing really well without actually being an ultra.
Yeah, I think that the question is, why is it 100K or more? I mean, you've got great races like Sierras and All that kind of give that same spirit. And it's a good question. I would say, as a starting point, the tour had to start from a base. I think there's a desire to grow that base over time, and so it starts with 10 events in 2014. Could it adopt or adapt into shorter races with slightly different formats? Absolutely. I think it's a starting point, and for 2014 they started with 100K.
One additional comment, I think if we want to grow the sport as a family, there are already some circuits for shorter distances, and I mean, the idea is to all work together, and what has been established in skyrunning for 2 years for distances from half marathon distance to like 50 miles, it's existing, and there's already something there. And the way, even if sometimes you can think about some competition between circuits, the way it is set now, the XXL races, the over 100, we will have something, and like anything from like marathon to 50 miles, but there are some circuits already.
Yeah, that's a good point, Nico. I mean, there's circuits that exist for the shorter distance, and I think the World Tour probably is saying, hey, we don't want to be all things to everyone. We're going to focus here and focus on these races to get started with.
Why?
Forward in.
Another question, sorry.
Yeah, no
why
problem.
is there a maximum on the series races, and then how are those series races chosen? Because it seems like the smartest thing would be do 3 series races, because you get points and a half basically. You get 1.5.
Yep. So yeah, you're doing the math already. I did the same thing. Like how do I calculate?
Well, yeah.
Your head's going to, I want to win this thing. I like that. So I know that's what everyone's doing inside. So
Maybe put the slide of all the races.
yeah, I can get back to it. Thanks.
I mean, if you're gonna have a series, why not try to win it? Right?
Well, I'm with you. So here was the concept of. Here's the concept. So part of the goal is we really want runners to participate in all 10 races. So the reason why there's 2 series and 1 non-series. Well, what we mean is we want people to have we want, for example, elites, if they want to win, to have the ability to run in any one of them. Because you might say, hey, these 3 don't fit perfect in my schedule,
right.
Because you've got other objectives in the year. So the idea is you can select 1 non-series event and 2 series events. And build your schedule according to what you want to do. And so the idea was the series events will have more weighting, but it's not the series events only that define the final ranking. Does that make sense?
When will those races that were chosen as the series races, when will they be announced?
Well, they're already up there.
They're up here.
There's the 4 up. The ones with total written.
Trans-Canaria, Marathon des Sables, Fuji, and the Mont Blanc race are the 4 series events, and it will require a little bit of crunching by the number crunchers and bloggers in the room that can start to help build a racing strategy around what would be the best races ideally. There's 2 elements, remember, that are weighting points. One is the series, non-series, and the other is the races here are all categorized into 4 competitiveness categories.
Yeah, that's what I was going to.
And so there's an A, B, C, and D level of competition. That's based on the past 3 years, how competitive the races have been. And so the more competitive races in the past actually have a higher points bonus as well. Okay.
What is that bonus? And then what is the A, B, C, and D?
I've got them all. I can share them with you later. I have it here. but I think the best way is Marie can send you that, and we'll also post that information on the website. Okay, so but that's basically the formula key to kind of figure out which ones you want to do. I can tell you, for example, the races that are in the A classification off the top of my head are Western States and the Mont Blanc race. So by the level of competition, those are the two most, historically, those have been the two most competitive races in the entire tour, for example. Right? So they're going to be the two with the highest bonus coefficient for the top place finishers.
Didn't they do the calculation based on the results from this year, and it's like, wasn't Tim Wilson the winner, like if it was this year, for example? Is that correct?
They used the last several years to look at how competitive each race was, and it's based on how many people finish in a cluster on the winning time. So if you've got 20 people that were very clustered on that winning time, that would provide a higher competition coefficient.
Sorry, well then this is just going to be a follow-up. Like a race like Marathon des Sables, there's going to be a huge differential between the winner and even the guy that finishes 10th. I mean, just from doing it, like, I think I finished 3rd and I was like 2 hours behind.
I think what you'll find once you dig into how the ranking system works, the points that still your position you finish, and whether it's a series or non-series, will have more weighting likely than the overall bonus, right? But what I would encourage you guys to do is, we'll get the information to you. I've got some examples here, Mike, that provides greater detail on exactly how the bonus system works, but it will be posted on the website if it's not already for you guys to download. And then Marie can, in the meantime, can forward it to any of you. If you'd like it right away, you can forward her an email, and she can send it to you even faster if it takes a little time to get it up on the website. Greg?
Yeah, this is already on the website.
Okay, thanks.
All the ranking, all the points and everything. And I can see that if you won the UTMB, if you finish 100 at the UTMB, you have the exactly same points as if you won the Western States.
No.
Not quite.
This is what I've seen on the
Yes, but it's not right like that.
I think what we'll do, what we
Marquez is aussi.
Non. Non.
what we can do.
En tout cas, t'as raison, c'est faux. Si c'est ça que t'as vu, t'as raison.
So what we can do is, and I think in addition to what's on the website, I think what will be helpful is we'll run some simulations, some examples that people can see how the point system operates, and then over time, I think that can answer questions, right? Hey, Jeff?
Is there a plan going forward to, I know that they've talked about these races are 2014, that will change over time, but to address the lack of North and South America, I mean, if you're an American or you're South America, like, you're traveling for every race, except Western States, whereas a European runner can do 3 races in Europe, and so it's a very, I feel like a very Euro and even kind of Asian-centric series at this point.
It's a good call. I think there'd be a desire to add another North American race at least over time, and a South American race. Yeah.
I want to
Nico.
follow up on Jeff's comment and maybe make a comment and also ask a question to Michelle and Catherine and yourself. The way it is now, it's a great idea, but it is not for North America. It is not for the US. Because, I mean, 20 countries, it's easier to travel to Chamonix or to the Dolomites from 20 countries in Europe than it is to come from Salt Lake City to California.
Yeah.
400 people, it's not easy with the permit. So we talked about the Western States, 6 people will enter. The finishers, so people you were talking about earlier, 0. Like people want to come from Europe, a recreational racer wants to do something and visit and get his passport. There's not one spot, he's gonna have like 10% chance to get in. So and it's a problem because the US represents it's 90% of the industry of ultra running, it's 50% of the trail runners, it's probably 50% of the races. And right now we have 6 spots in like the most difficult race to enter. And this is only for elite. So my question behind that, right now in the US, the way these rules are set, and the races are not gonna change. We don't think all of a sudden like Hard Rock is not gonna become Mont Fuji or UTMB in terms of entry. So what are, it's year one, but what are the organizers and prepared to do, and how, what do they envision for the future so that this huge North American market becomes really part of the world tour? Because I want to be honest and very clear with people I know very well here. At the moment, the North America is like almost 99.7% out of it, and it will stay if the criteria remain like that.
And you're referring to just the number of slots, kind of similar to Greg's point on the 6 slots available for the World Tour.
Americans race in North America, they race in the US, right? There's going to be a couple of athletes, thanks to their sponsors and the spots, we're going to travel to some great races. There's going to be some wealthy recreational trail runners. We're going to be able to go to Asia or to go to Europe. But for the mass, they will not have this experience. They will not share no spots. And the Europeans, they won't be able to come and race here and be part of the World Tour.
Well,
So
some will, but not as many as perhaps that would be meaningful, right? But
Yeah.
but it's a starting point, Nico, and I think also it provides North American runners, to your point, access to greater access or potential availability to go travel to some of these other countries and race. I mean, the idea, and it's right on. It's one of the challenges in North American trail racing. It's what I referred to earlier. The sport is growing so fast, and the one limiting factor in the U.S. today in trail running and ultra trail running is the number of positions. Any 100-mile race in North America, very few have much more than 400 to 500. There's literally only a couple. And
to take into account for the future and maybe think and see how these rules can be adapted to the US, to North America. Today there's 2 levels. Is it like the 3rd one where you get far less points, but it's much more easy to enter? I don't know. It's not 1 or 2 races next year in 2015 which are really dramatically change the representation of American runners in the database. I'm not talking about you guys, because I know some will get in, Greg have a couple of guys, Jeff, Michael. I'm talking about what you said at first, sharing the experience. And there needs to be a way and strategies to bring this experience to people who are racing in the US.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's no question that's the goal. I think, really the goal of 2014 was to get started with events that have common values and make sure that we provide as fair and as transparent a way to provide support to elite runners, even if it's on a small level in 2014 to get started. And as the tour takes shape, it gains additional funding through sponsorship. I believe that that will serve as an opportunity to get more athletes in more events as part of the tour. But it's really a starting point more than anything than an end state. And it's really important too that the conversation we're having today continues, right? Because the tour is a concept that's born through making sure that the original values of ultra running, that many of us, we've got first generation, Adam Chase talks about like first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth generation. This sport is going through generational changes. And we want some of the great values that the sport was built on, that are the reasons that many of you guys found your way to the sport to live on. But we also want to make sure that what's happening in the 4th generation, which is a very hard-charging, competitive level, also lives on in the right way. And so I guess my point is the World Tour will succeed when there's a fundamental belief from the athletes, from the race organizers, from the brands, the sponsors that believe in it. And that will require some work and communication and honesty about what they're like and what they're not.
Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
No problem, Mike.
Have you guys thought, and maybe you've already reached out and I just didn't see it, but have you thought about having like a athlete advisory panel or something like that?
I think it's a great idea. So I think it's a great idea, and I think, think it's a great idea. And we haven't, I don't think.
I don't understand the question.
So Mike's question was, have you thought about an athlete advisory panel? So as we develop the ranking rules, some of the travel assistant concepts, have you thought about, if
you can just bounce ideas.
Yeah, bounce ideas. So his idea is, hey, we thought about, a few people in an advisory group, but that represent the athletes as a community. I think it's a great idea. I think that's something we could develop quite quickly.
Yeah.
Yes. It is.
Greg? Sorry, Debo.
I would like to come back to the ranking points also.
Yep.
Why making a ranking of races over the level of 2013? Why the level of the same races in 2014 will be different? For example, if the winner of the Mont Fuji will receive 30 points less than the winner of the UTMB, but what happens if the level of the Fuji race
is highly
more
competitive,
important than the UTMB in 2014?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's... Do you want to answer that?
Nico, je réponds en français, c'est plus facile. Et puis, tu traduis pour Greg. Tu traduis pour Greg.
We're gonna have to let Greg open it.
La question était de mettre au point un système qui soit connu d'avance. Parce que je suis d'accord avec toi, fondamentalement, il vaudrait mieux donner des points en fonction du niveau réel de la course telle qu'elle existera en 2014. Mais par contre, ça voulait dire que le nombre de points que chaque athlète allait obtenir sur la course n'est connu qu'après la course. Et donc, après discussion, il nous a semblé meilleur de partir sur le niveau de la course tel qu'il a existé dans les 2 dernières années pour qu'on puisse attribuer des points de manière connue d'avance.
Nico, can you translate a little bit of that, just the gist?
Sorry, we're
gonna jump in.
We're gonna have to cut short a little bit because Brett's got to actually open his store to the public, but because we're 10 minutes past store opening hours, and we want to make sure Brett stays in business. But here's what I would just say on the ranking. Greg and Mike, you guys had really good questions on the ranking. What I like to do is make sure that we get, and what we will get out quickly, I think, are some simulated responses. So what I heard from Greg are 2 things. One is a Western States finisher versus a Mont Blanc finisher at 100th place. We'll do a simulation on that and show what the ranking is. And then we'll do a ranking between a Mount Fuji and a Mont Blanc race. And I think we'll open some more dialogue because we really want to make sure the ranking system is clearly understood and also refined if it needs to be a little bit, right? Now, any other questions? Debo, you had one way back there.
Sorry, I'm reading a croissant right now. But when are we going to know? Now that North Face is over, the season's done for all of us.
Yep.
All we're thinking about is next year. And, we'd kind of like to know soon about what kind of support we're going to get. Is there
Good question. So here's the scoop. If you haven't submitted a form with your priorities to Marie, you got to do that. My suggestion is do that in the next 2 weeks. Do it in the next 2 days if you want to go to Hong Kong.
I think she asked for it back last week.
I know.
Yeah.
She's given a little more time,
okay,
right? Because we wanted to have this meeting. There were some people that didn't get the email because they didn't have correct email address. So we wanted to use this as a forum. Hong Kong, they'll need to make the decision right away. I talked to Marie yesterday, and her goal was to at least have communication back out to everyone who has had interest and give everyone a response by, at the latest, early January. Okay?
Are they going to announce how many slots for each
event?
Each event, so that we know?
Good question. I think we'll come back to you with an answer on that. The only thing I do know for certain is that there are 6 guaranteed entries into Western States, not to be confused with complimentary. So Western States, as a race this year, will provide 6 guaranteed entries, but it's not financial support in the case of Western States. Other events will have financial support, accommodation support, travel support, and complimentary entries.
Even Marathon the Sub?
Perhaps. I don't know the answer to all of those, but we'll get that back. Okay? What's most important for these guys to help you is just make a mark on exactly what you're looking for. What are your priorities, and what are you looking for in terms of support? Okay?
Yeah, it's 50 free travel for the 10 races, so it's like 5 tickets, 5 races. Yeah.
Not necessarily. On average, yes. It could be clustered. It could be clustered a bit differently, but yes, on average.
So it's very focused on few elites.
To start with, that's what they have the funding for. I think what's important to know is the majority of the funding is really going to provide. We know international tickets are expensive, so yes, it's going to be a limited number this year. We hope it's more next year, and I think with sponsorship, it can be more next year.
These few elites are chosen on the ITRA ranking.
Combination. ITRA ranking is simply a tool that the race organizers and the World Tour organizers, combined with their knowledge of the team managers and so on,
but you agree that these tools should work very well to create a really right level of runners?
Over time. I think they're a great start, but I think they will need to evolve, Greg. They will need to evolve with time, with feedback from the athletes, feedback from the brands, feedback from the other events.
Because at the moment it doesn't work very well.
Well, we're just getting started. We haven't started the first year. I hope it will work. Certainly there are going to be athletes that are going to be part of the tour and are going to receive the support, and there are going to be some that won't in the first year, and we just hope that can grow year over year with time. So, but for Brett's behalf, I will finish a couple of comments. One, if you haven't picked up a San Francisco Running Company item, definitely support Brett here if you can. I'm here to answer any questions, and thanks you guys for coming, and thank you.